In the fall of 2020, my vacation from work fell in the midst of the COVID pandemic. This is me, and this is my friend Mike from St. Louis. We set out across my home state of Oklahoma to see the sights. We drove through small-town America, experienced natural wonders and unique attractions, and the urban sophistication that is Oklahoma. Along the way, I took time for some silliness, some good conversation around a campfire, and quiet contemplation. The wonders of my state unrolled before me as the miles unrolled behind me. So come on, let's hit the road. Day 2 of my trip around Oklahoma found me on the road from Antlers to Oklahoma City. Along the way, I stopped in Atoka, a small town of about 3,000 people founded in 1864. Clyde Barrow had a shootout with police in Atoka. In World War II, there was a prison for Nazi soldiers located nearby, and Reba McEntire calls Atoka home. Atoka was also the site of the Civil War Battle of Middle Boggy Depot in 1864. Union Colonel William Phillips said to his soldiers, "I take you with me to clean out the Indian nation south of the river and drive away and destroy rebels. Let me say a few words to you that you are not to forget. Those who are still in arms are rebels who ought to die. Do not kill a prisoner after he has surrendered, but I do not ask you to take prisoners. I ask you to make your footsteps severe and terrible." In the ensuing skirmish, 47 Confederate soldiers were killed. Among the dead were those wounded who had been left behind when their comrades fled. They were found on the battlefield with their throats slashed. There were no Union casualties. I find myself in another cemetery, this one in Atoka, Oklahoma, which was the site of a battlefield during the Civil War called the Battle of Boggy Bottom or something like that. But nonetheless, there is a Civil War era cemetery here with headstones that say CSA on them for the Confederate States of America. Civil War era surgical kit, and over here what they call medicinal bullets, still bearing teeth marks when they were told to bite down on the bullet when they were amputating legs and such. Clyde Barrow shootout. Next to the cemetery is a small museum with exhibits featuring artifacts of local Atoka history. Remnants of the prison in Stringtown, where Nazi prisoners were kept. I look at this and I wonder, did my grandfather know any of these people? Like this map. The museum also features some of the creepiest dioramas I have ever seen in my entire life. Mike and I spent about an hour in the museum in Atoka, but then we hit the road because it was a long drive to central Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, which is the capital of my state. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. Oklahoma Art Museum next. Oklahoma City Art Museum. See a little bit of art, some chihoulis and whatever else they've got in here. Oklahoma City Art Museum is home to a large collection of the glasswork of artist Dale Chihuly, whom I photographed when he did an exhibit at the Missouri Botanical Garden. This museum houses some great pieces of modern art, which Mike and I both really enjoy. Oklahoma City here, Bombing Memorial Museum. Ready to go get the learn on about history. On April 19th of 1995, Timothy McVeigh parked a Ryder truck packed with explosives outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building and detonated it, killing 168 people, many of them children. He was a member of a militia motivated by Waco and Ruby Ridge. He was tried and convicted in 1997, sentenced to death, and executed in 2001.
Basically, there are 4 elements that I have to receive information regarding.
It's the federal building, we're being told. My mic is open, is that correct? Let's try to keep my mic open if we can, and I'll be able to talk with Jesse. As a chopper goes around the side of the federal building, look at
The Oklahoma City National Memorial was dedicated in 2000 at the site of the Murrah Building. A tranquil infinity pool lies between 2 gates bearing the numbers 901 and 903, the minutes before and after the blast. A field of empty chairs, handcrafted of glass, bronze, and stone, represents the 168 souls who lost their lives that day. Had an issue with the B&B that I booked here in Oklahoma City. It's the first time I've ever actually had a issue with a booking, but anyway, got this cute little place here in kind of an old building, so we're gonna check in there.
Popular. I'm popular. I've got my own car.
Andy. It had been a long and thoughtful day. Mike and I sat on the balcony of our B&B and watched the sunset, musing on what we had seen and learned. Tomorrow, there was another road for us to follow.